We are live.
Whoa.
So let's play the music. This is TechNow episode 24, I believe.
All
We are
right.
doing Orchestration Activity Designer. Roll that music. Dave didn't want to dance.
You know, I had this.
Welcome to TechNow.
Go
This
ahead.
is the ServiceNow podcast that takes an in-depth look for ServiceNow developers and technical experts. Deep dive. We're here to bring you the wonderful goodness that is ServiceNow. I am Chuck Tomasi, platform architect at ServiceNow, and joining. I'm back. These guys wanted to get rid of me last episode.
Yeah, we tried.
And they said, no, we really need your expertise. So,
Yeah, that's what we
what
said.
little is left.
Exactly what we said.
Yeah, we'll see what you say in your slide deck.
Yeah. Right.
Joining me right across the virtual table is, of course, well, you guys can flip to see who goes first.
You go first.
Where's my dice?
All right. I'll tell you what. I'll go first. My name is Dave Slusher. I am a developer evangelist. If you go to developer.servicenow.com, you'll see resources that I'm responsible for, and that's basically my beat: getting developers productive on the ServiceNow platform.
All right. And for me, I'm Kreg Steppe, and I'm the orchestration principal at ServiceNow, and I kind of help drive the product a little bit in different directions, scoping projects and documentation, a little bit of enablement in there somewhere, and that's where I'm at.
And now there's an interesting triad that's going on here because I come from the sales of the pre-sales world, so I'm keeping an eye on what is this going to cost and how do we get this to the customer? How do we demonstrate this effectively? Kreg is in professional services, so he's looking at it from an implementation standpoint, and Dave is out there spreading the gospel of ServiceNow as an evangelist.
Mm-hmm.
There's a very close parallel to what Dave and I do. Dave is more focused on the existing customers and the community and getting those people excited about it. I do very much the same thing, only I'm on the prospects and the incoming pipeline. So we're all very excited to be developing on ServiceNow. We've been doing this for quite some time. I think our combined experience is 10 years. I think you guys started, you're about 6 months apart. But
Yeah.
I've got like 8.
I've got two.
We'll make
I've
that
got two
Never
and a
mind.
half. Yeah.
Yeah.
We are yammering at this point. I say we turn it over to Kreg. Kreg is going to be doing the lion's share, and this time Dave and I get to be the colorful commentary and ask questions. But if you've got any questions, be sure to add them to the community, or if you're watching this on YouTube, stick them in that chat window, and we'd love to hear from you. We will try to get them before we conclude this, but if not, you're watching this real time later, you can still put comments in there, and we will answer them as they come up. It doesn't matter if you asked this question in 2017. We'll do our best to answer them. So with that, I'm turning it over to Kreg.
All right.
Kreg, if you would be so kind to introduce the topic and go nuts, and I'll shut up.
Okay. So we're going to talk about the Workflow Activity Designer today. Actually, I'm going to do a whole demo, so you're in for a treat. And if you don't know what their Activity Designer is, we'll go over that in here in just a second. So let's move forward, and there's the incredible thinking guy. He's asking, well, I would love to reuse some code that I've already written. Wouldn't we all? Wouldn't you agree?
Well, I usually use script includes when I want to reuse my code. So what are you here to tell us that's different, Kreg?
Okay. Well, this is actually it'll encapsulate it in more of an activity, like so you can use on the Workflow Designer, the Workflow GUI. Now, you can do script includes. I mean, there's 100 ways to get stuff in here, but maybe you just want to use the GUI and kind of put something together. This is like a smaller version of a workflow, more like a workflow in a micro sense. And you'll see here in a minute when we start going to the demo. But it was first introduced in Fuji, and it's actually really developed a little bit even more in Geneva going forward. So it's very usable. And of course, there's the thinking guy again. I'd like to get rid of that Tomasi guy.
I'll assume you mean my brother.
Yes, right.
He's on a flight out this afternoon.
Yeah. All right. So of course, we got a plug for our Knowledge User Conference, which is coming up in May 15th through the 20th. It's going to be a lot of fun at Mandalay Bay. So if you weren't there
Same place as last year.
Yeah, if you were there last year, you'll know where everything's at. If you're not, it was easy to get around and it was a lot of fun. What was something that you particularly liked last year, Chuck?
I liked the networking aspect of it, meeting people, talking to people, putting names with faces. Just the whole social aspect was great. There was a lot of learning. I happened to be a lab guru at several sessions, and I learned something out of every one of those sessions. It was phenomenal. There's getting to be so much of this product and the platform that it's still fun to learn every day, and this is a great way to consume it with applicable takeaways. And it's not just for the developers. In fact, there's a separate conference at the end, CreatorCon, on Thursday and Friday that is part of the base conference package that I want to call out, and that really revs up the three of us. The main knowledge conference, Tuesday, Wednesday, and part of Thursday, is really around it's everybody from CIOs to architects to project sponsors. Most of the sessions at this conference are from customers. So this isn't just go listen to Kreg and Dave and Chuck and their colleagues jump up and down and go, we've got this awesome software. This is testimonials, this is examples, this is real-world stuff of how people have used our platform to solve their problems. So I know that was a long answer for what did you like best.
I was going to say, leave some room for Dave. So what was your favorite aspect of last year?
Well, so I also liked the networking aspect. Like, this was, bearing in mind that last year I was not in this role that I am currently. And even so, I made a point, for example, when they had the evening snug presentations where they had, I think they were on different nights. Like one evening was international snugs, and then the next was the domestic snugs. And I made a point of going to every single one of those and talking to every single person I knew and meeting new people. And it was hard work, but I actually put a lot of energy in trying to meet people and go out of my way to do it. But I also, last year, Fuji was just rolling out, and I did the pre-conference training for app creation. So scoped apps were brand new, and so I loved that. I had to decline pre-conference. Chuck invited me to pre-conference training. I had to decline it because I have to do so much all the way through to the very bitter end of CreatorCon. But I actually really loved that. And so I mean, I'm enough of an extrovert that I just get a charge from the second I walk in till the second I leave. I really enjoy the conference so much.
That's cool.
So.
Yeah. How about you, Kreg?
I would echo the same thing with you guys. The networking was pretty cool. Met some people I've only spoken to, on the phone, like clients that we have already. And there were some of the rooms actually. I mean, you can't go into one of those labs and not pick up something,
Yep.
So maybe it's the way. Maybe it's something coding, or something you do, or maybe it's just the way the guy's delivering the message. You can kind of go, oh, that's the way I should say it, or I don't know. Who knows, right? So anyway.
Yeah, we will all be there in some capacity, one or another. That Kreg will be there behind the scenes mainly, but we are trying to schedule up a TechNow live session somewhere, sometime. Stay tuned for that on your various social networks and community. So we hope to see you there, and shake hands, say hi, stop by. Can't miss the bow tie, right?
Yeah, shake some babies and look at hands, kiss hands.
No. I think that's our cue to come on with the presentation, Kreg.
I'm sorry, that was a political thing. Shake. Anyway. All right. So anyway, we're going to talk about orchestration. I'm going to mention that real quick. We're going to do activity designer overview, and then I'm going to do a awesome demo. So. Let's touch on what orchestration is, and I'm sure you may have a glimmer of it, or you may already know. What is orchestration? It is the act of ServiceNow integrating with outside systems when we're using that graphical workflow that allows us to, really talk to everything and process stuff. You can template a process and make it repeatable. Whether it's something to do with onboarding, provisioning users, emails, or email addresses, and that kind of stuff. You can monitor the life cycle of a workflow pretty easily, and there's lots of activities out of the box to do most anything that you want. And if you can't, I mean, or if it isn't there, you can certainly make it, and that's like the side motto of ServiceNow. If it's not here, build it yourself, right? So you can certainly build it, and we have lots of facilities. We talked about the script includes as one, and the activity designer is another. And here's an example workflow. This is one from one of our SPLE environment. I just happen to have it open. Chuck's favorite thing. This you can see the flow if things are approved. Maybe there's an always condition. You kind of move on. So all these transitions in here help mark the flow of the way things happen, and it's easy to follow along.
So is there any orchestration in that diagram that you just showed? Or is that a pretty generic out-of-box workflow?
Well, yeah, actually, this particular workflow, we're integrating with another ServiceNow instance. So we got two ServiceNow instances.
Okay. This workflow belongs to one, and it talks through a web service to another one and launches labs. So the SPLE environment goes, hey, you may be familiar with SPLE, which is our learning environment. When you request a code, it goes over and asks Knowledge Labs to spin up a lab based on what you're trying to do. So the lab environment, I should say. So yeah, this is actually an integration right here. Cool. So, what is the Activity Designer, which is what we're here to talk about today? It is much like the workflow, but on a micro level. You can create your own activity and reshare it within different workflows. So, say you want to integrate with a web service, which we're going to do today. You can build it and put it in several different workflows, and it'll work. So yeah, you can create your own activity. You can parse data from standard inputs and process them and put them back out onto the workflow transition. You can share data between activities, and we'll go over that a little bit. You can also keep versions of these things, which is important because if you build an activity and it's version 1 and you go, oh, I'm going to add an output that could break a previous version, you have versions that you can, you can say this is version 1, I'm putting over to version 2, and not worry about it breaking another workflow or a previous workflow. Kreg, I'm familiar with the activity packs that you can purchase alongside Orchestration, so you can modify your or manage your VMware, your vCenter, Active Directory. There's some activity packs we do. How does this fit in with that? Is this a competing, augmenting? Do you need something else alongside this to do the Activity Designer? No, this is well, the only thing you'll need, we'll get over that in a minute, but to use the Activity Designer, the packs, there's some that are already in ServiceNow, we have today. There's some that you can do custom, and you'll see that's what we're going to do now. You can download some from the App Store, some that people have already written. So you can kind of share it with others, and they can share it with you as well. Is that what you're talking about? Yeah. Okay. So here's an example. When you go over to the Custom tab in your workflow, and you'll see it more clearly in a minute, there's several different types that you can do. You can do a SOAP service. Excuse me, I'm getting cotton mouth here. You can do a JDBC. Lots of different options. Yeah, REST web service. Yeah, this is very similar to what you do, like an import set or any other data source, right? Right. So yeah, you can do any of this stuff. SSH, say you want to can up a call to a Linux box, you can do all that, and you can specify what mid servers to use based on their capability. So if you need to do a PowerShell. Oh, you stole my question. Because I was going to say a SOAP web service or a REST web service that some people may or may not be familiar with. We've got other episodes on that. Yeah. Those you can launch directly from your ServiceNow instance and say, hey, go get me the stock price of ServiceNow and return it into this workflow as parameters. That's easy enough, but some things exist inside the customer's enterprise environment, and you'd need a mid server to facilitate that. So you can't run an SSH script, for example, on your instance. You would run that via the mid server onto a target. So is that what you're talking about? Because some of these, how do you know which ones use which and where you can use a mid server and where you can't? Well, or are you going to show that to me too?
No, I'm not. I'm not using a mid server in this instance, but
Okay.
um,
Is there a
but a
checkbox or
mid
something that says I want
well,
to use mid server ABC?
yeah, and then we may be able to touch on that. It's not it won't be in my REST service because we don't need it. That we're going to
Okay.
be doing today. But you can't. So if you have mid servers that have the PowerShell activity, capability, excuse me, you can specify, hey, I'm getting ready to do a PowerShell activity. Well, it would know and it would pick a mid server that has that. So you could have 3 mid servers on your network. One is on a Linux box, 2 are on Windows. And if you go to do the PowerShell activity, it would know to use the 2 that are on one of the 2 that are on Windows.
Okay. I just realized we have a bit of a gap, and maybe we want to make a whole different episode on what is a mid server and how do you use it, because there's a lot of power there. So, quick definition for those that are not familiar. We've been throwing this term around. Mid is actually an acronym, and it changed, so I can't remember which one's new and which one's old. But it's effectively a Java agent that sits on a Windows or Linux box that allows. It does outbound HTTPS queries to your ServiceNow instance and says, do I have any work to do? Is there anything to pick up and run? We're not poking holes in firewall, so you don't have to worry about security there. And it runs those instructions that the instance sets for it. So the ServiceNow instance, an example of provisioning a VM. Let's say you've got a vCenter architecture in your enterprise. The ServiceNow instance would say, here, I want you to go provision this machine with these parameters. The mid server picks up that instruction and hands it off to the vCenter. So it's acting as this agent to do integrations, to do discovery, to do other management operations, and you can have multiples of these inside of your organization. So that's what we're referring to. It's hey, hand this off to this software that's listening for requests or polling for requests to do these certain instructions. So I didn't want to muddy the waters, but I thought we should take a backup for the people who are just jumping into this for the first time or maybe new to ServiceNow.
No, that's cool. And actually, I made a note to myself. We should do a mid-server show at some point.
I love that. There's your next assignment.
There you go. There you go. Like I need another one. so anyway, and actually most of these services you can do without the use of a mid-server altogether, like we talked about the REST service, run scripts, stuff like that. You don't need PowerShell, any of the Linux stuff. You really do. And wait a minute, I'm not gonna get crazy. I can go down a rabbit hole. So
I can vouch that you can get crazy.
Yeah, not me. Okay, so licensing consideration.
My favorite slide.
Yeah,
I'm in the sales department. What does it cost?
All right, so keep in mind
is this part of the standard platform or not?
No, and you have to have the ServiceNow orchestration license to be able to use this.
But it does graphical workflow. That's part of the standard package. You can put that on any catalog item. You can put that on lots of places.
Yeah.
But this orchestration is an extension of the graphical workflow engine.
The activity designer is an extension of that. Yes. So you have orchestration that uses the graphical interface to interface with other systems outside our ServiceNow platform. So that's where ServiceNow orchestration comes in. And yes, you have to license that. Then you'll get the activity designer as all part of that.
And Kreg, with those those roles that allow you to use the activity designer, would those be standard roles for a typical user that's doing development on an instance?
I would say that you're pretty much going to get them. Anybody that's going to be building any workflows, you should have these roles. I think you should get them with no problem. But yeah, once the plugins are turned on, they'll be available in the system, and anybody has access to make workflows should be able to do activity as well. I think it's like an inherited roles.
Okay, and that's also worth noting too, is that so if you go and you look at your workflow editor without the orchestration turned on, you'll see a subset. You'll see about half of what you see in this demo. Right? You won't have the ability to create activities. You won't have some of those tabs. You turn on orchestration plugin, and then you get all this stuff.
That's right. Yes, you are correct, sir. All right. So you ready to build a activity?
Enough of the PowerPoints.
Yes.
Yeah,
we're ready. Let's build.
All right. Let me switch screens here. All right. And all right. Brace yourselves. We're going to go into a little tunnel here.
I love the tunnel. It's part of this show.
Okay. So first things first, we're going to integrate. Can you see my screen all right?
Yes, I see.
Okay. I'm going to integrate with Pushbullet. And if you're not familiar with Pushbullet, it's a service that's pretty much free. They have a pro version, but we're not messing with that. But then you can send pragmatically text to your phone and your computer and whatever other devices you have. So it works like text. You can also send files and other kind of messages along with that. But we're just doing a regular like message, a pop-up message, and you'll be able to see it in my browser when it pops up. So it's a very useful service. You can plug it in with IFTTT and have it like notify you of whatever. The possibilities are endless, really. So that's what we're integrating with, and there's a very simple API. Well, let me back up. It's not very simple API, but what we're doing is we're just doing pushes. Our part is going to be simple, but their documentation is really good. So if you're interested in Pushbullet and integrating with it, I suggest you go check it out. Their documentation is great. So all I'm doing here is we're using the post method, and I've already set up a REST call in ServiceNow for it, and we are telling it that this is a push. That's where the pushes comes from. There's some content that we need to specify, and you can see it's JSON. And excuse me, and there'll be an access token which they will give you, so you can actually do the processing. And you don't have to actually log in. They use the access token as your keys to the kingdom.
So this isn't orchestration yet. This is standard REST messaging that's in the platform. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm going over just the REST service that I created already to do what we're going to do. Anyway, so they will give you the API token, and you'll see that you'll be able to plug that in wherever you need. So let's go over here. I started a workflow. I set my API token in this run script, and I don't have anything on here yet because we're going to build the activity that we're going to put on here in a moment. So, sorry, my mouth's getting dry.
Here's the custom tab.
Yeah,
this is what you showed us before, right?
That's right. So if you look here, I'm going to show you something on the data. This comes in handy. I've already set up 2 workflow inputs on this particular workflow. There's a message title and message body. That's what we're going to send to Pushbullet to get our message to pop up.
So the stuff on the data tab, just so I'm clear, this is our workflow engine data bus, right?
Right. Yes, and it kind of keeps track of what variables are available to you to pass along to other activities. Comes in handy.
Now, how does that compare with or work with the workflow scratch pad?
Well, some of these are kind of like, you won't see the scratch pad variables on here because those are kind of they vary.
Like a 1.0 thing?
Yeah, I mean, you won't see those on there, but these are all activity inputs like known, like from the activity inputs, or workflow inputs, activity outputs. They'll show up here, and I was just wanting to show you because we're going to look in a minute. You'll see an activity output.
I think one way to think about it is, in pure development terms, the workflow scratchpad is weakly typed, and your inputs and outputs are strongly typed, right? They're set up, they're invariable, they're aspects of all the activities that you've got in there. Whereas scratchpad can be any arbitrary thing that you put in there.
That's what I was trying to get at. Was that it can be arbitrary and they're code based. It's like it really doesn't have any way to tell, except for these are hard value. These are things that come in and out of activities and the workflow itself. So
so show me how you'd use that REST integration. You're saying.
All right. So let me do it while I'm still got my voice. For some reason, it decided to go away. So we're gonna hit the plus. We got the custom tab, and you can see other activities in here. And I think the S means that they're ServiceNow activities. And I got a couple of custom ones, but we're gonna make a new one. So we're gonna make a REST web service, and you'll see it comes up as a tab, just like a workflow would. And we're going to kind of define our workflow or activity here. So I'll say push bullet activity, or activity. We'll just call it that. You can give it a category and categorize these things. See, I made one earlier called Push Built Demo, and you'll see there's a previous version in there, so you can get an idea of how they're organized. I won't worry about that right now, otherwise it'll just show up in global.
Okay.
Give it a description. Now we need to define some inputs because we're going to take some input data from what I showed you a moment ago. Oh, wait, when we're on the workflow. When I showed you the workflow inputs, we're going to be filtering those right into our REST message and make the call. So let's add a couple of them. I need to add the API token. And that's going to be a string. Now, keep in mind, the funny thing about this, you have to press Enter or Tab, otherwise sometimes it doesn't save it. URI.
Good to note.
Yeah. See why? If I just click away, it says input to. URI. We're going to pass that word pushes, which is the verb that we're going to be using. And now we need to make an object. And this object is my content that we showed you, the little JSON a moment ago.
Yep.
All right. So we're going to call it content.
And are you changing the type on that?
Yep. We're going to change it to an object.
Oh, look at that. Okay.
All right. Press Enter. Now you see you got an object. Let's add a few variables in this content. And I need to set, these are from PushBullet. These are ones that I need to pass through. So active, and that's going to be a boolean, whatever how you want to say it. The title, title.
Yep.
It's going to be just a regular string.
Oh, your active went back to string.
Oh, you're right.
That's why we have 6 sets of eyes on the thing.
Chuck beat me to it.
See what I was talking about, pressing the enter? Yeah, okay. So body, and then there's a type that PushBullet wants, and we got to tell it note. But we'll see that we'll specify that in a second. Okay, so now we got our inputs set up. We're going to pick a REST message, and it could be another one, but we're going to do PushBullet today. And we're going to do the function would be one of the verbs get, put, delete, whatever post. We're going to do post. And you'll see these are the variables that we have on this service. They automatically pulled over.
Nice.
These are not these. These are the ones that I have already defined in the REST message. So now we need to say, okay, what values are going where? Okay. So access token. You just click and drag it over. There you go. Content, click, drag it over.
Oh, that's handy.
Yeah, very handy. URI, pop that in. Now, here's something, I don't know that you always have to do this, but for PushBullet, you can set additional attribute. We do not want to escape this text. If it's escaped, PushBullet won't be able to process the JSON.
Gotcha.
So, believe me, I went through a long...
And would you typically only use that for an object?
I would imagine so. Unless it was something special that you didn't, maybe you had some HTML encoded stuff in there, maybe.
Because otherwise, it's going to take your JSON object and then escape all the quotes. Is that what it would do?
Yeah.
So then you have a long string instead of the object that you're trying to pass.
Right, and I kept getting this error message from PushBullet because they couldn't process the JSON because it was escaped. Gotcha. So anyway, there we go. Now at the bottom. We submit it, comes back, it basically save. You can test the inputs.
Okay.
So I'm not going to do it this time because I got JSON that I got to pass through, but you would put your token in, your content, and you hit OK, and you can find out what happened right there. Okay, which is very handy. All right, so let's move along. Now, pre-processing. You can write some script that will work on the inputs before the service is actually ran. So if you want to maybe change, look up something in the database, maybe I don't know, maybe count details, and you want to change the API token based on that, you can do it here. You can write a script to do that.
Nice.
You can also do post-processing on the outputs.
Once you get the response back?
Right, once you get the response back. So
Okay.
here you go. Let's add a couple of outputs. I'm not going to name them anything special. We'll say output 1 and output 2.
Why?
So, okay, what's that?
Why?
Because I'm just going to show you. I could call it anything I wanted to, but here you go.
Okay.
Now, see, I'm going to take this output, drop it in. Excuse me. And we can say, what is its value going to be? What's the source? Let's say the status code. So it pre-populates this with the status code. So when I run this, output 1 is going to be status 1. All right. Now we cannot put anything here. These are just parsing rules. So these are automatically going to get set. The post-processing, you'll see I'm going to take this. What we're going to do is I'm going to set output 2 equal to status
string
code. We'll say plus output 1. So that way, we'll get with this one is a status code and the actual code.
It's got a label and a value. Yep.
Yeah, and we'll log that in a minute. We'll when we run it, we'll log it.
Hey, Kreg, do you have anything to show the JSON parsing part of that? Of the output? Like, do you have a sample payload in the clipboard?
Yeah.
Separate payload?
A sample payload or anything. Can you just show that right quickly?
Oh, when we get ready to what are you talking about when we go to run it?
Well, just to show like one of the outputs, you could generate that output from the JSON that comes back or XML that comes back.
Oh, yeah, but yeah, you could, but I'm not going there today. But yes, you could. You could process any of that stuff. And if you look here, you can expand this out and see what you have available. There's the status code, header, body. You can look at the header stuff or the output. There's the 2 variables that I built.
Like fields in a record. Very cool.
Right. Yeah, very cool. Sorry, my voice decided to go about midway through my demo here. Hold on. All right, so let's save that. Actually, I'm going to publish it. So we're ready to go.
And just actually 1 second before you leave, can you just click the conditions tab and show people what's available there?
Sure. Let me check it out. And see, you can check this in and check it out just like you would a normal workflow.
Yeah.
All right. Conditions tab.
I love the annotations. They help. Create existing conditions with the rules of your activity. The workflow designer can draw an exit transition from your activity for each condition.
Right. So if you wanted to have more than one
underneath.
Yeah, if you wanted to have more than one exit point based on, say, the value. So maybe you had a success or failure, and you could have the success case be that status code is 200, and the failure be everything else.
That's
something like that.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Kreg, I got to ask you something. Is this creating an activity definition?
In a sense, yes.
When you go into the workflow menu on the because activity definitions have been around for a while, and there is a horrendous amount of scripting and voodoo knowledge you got to know about what objects are available. It kind of got a little creepy. This is
creepy.
Effectively the easier way to make activity definitions. Correct?
Yes, I think that's the good way to explain it. Yes.
All right, I love this. This is as much fun as the drag and drop, the form designer versus the old form layout. Even better.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, this is great. So yeah, let's publish this. I'm not going to make another condition on here, but yeah, just like Dave explained, you can totally put, like success, failure, or always or whatever.
And there's your push bullet activity version 2.
Yeah. So I now got it in there. It's version 2. So let's go back to our demo workflow.
Come on, I want to see your push bullet message.
All right, hold on. It's getting there. So in a moment, this will refresh.
So now you have an actual activity you can drag onto the canvas, right?
Correct. So as soon as my browser decides to come back.
The demo gods got you. Okay, there it is.
Yeah, so demo activity. So let's drag it over here. All right. And now you'll see I got some inputs that we can define. So I already have workflow scratchpad.access token. I just happen to know that one. We'll say pushes because that was the verb. That's the part of the URI we're using. So here, content. Now, let's go look at the data bus. So, message the title. I want to drag.
Get on the bus.
Yeah. Oh, come on.
You missed. It was working yesterday. I'll vouch for him.
It was working yesterday. All right. So here, workflow.inputs.u message title.
This wasn't the one where you needed the get and some number?
No, we'll get there in a minute. I'm gonna show you.
Okay.
Don't get ahead of me, man. All right. So this is going to be
spoiler alert.
Yeah. And notes. This is the type that I talked about earlier. You can do link notes and stuff that through push bullet. But
hey, Kreg, do you want that to be message body? And that's the second one that you did.
Yes. I thought I did do that. Let's see.
I was talking. I screwed him up.
I know it. My wife always tells me I can only do one thing at a time. All right. So send push bullet message. Okay. So there you go. That's all there is to it.
Just like defining a new task. You've got an activity, you drag it in, you fill in your parameters.
That's right. So let's submit it. And you'll see the data bus refresh too. Now that we added this activity. Oh, and look, we got output 1 and 2 that we defined a moment ago. So let's use those. Let's see, core, run log, log. There you go. It's log message. All right. Go to the data bus. We'll say log message. Very, very creative, right?
That's a good log message.
Yeah. So we'll click it and drag it. Now this is what Chuck was talking about. The data value for to get this data is kind of strange. You have to use data.get. It's not like workflow.scratchpad. Whatever. So it's a little funky.
To get drag and drop, you can't go wrong.
Yeah, drag and drop, you can't go wrong, and it'll show you right there.
And as we talked about when we were getting this ready, I had exactly this problem last week, trying to figure out how to get that output, and I did not know that syntax or that I could just go get it from the data bus. So I could have actually used this about 4 days ago. So
yeah, and actually you'll want
and saved hours and hours of time.
Yes.
You want to use the drag and drop because sometimes you may not know the index number of the activity you're talking about.
And I actually have figured. I think I have figured out too why there's that index number, because you could, for example, drag 2 copies of that same activity in there, and that index is now representing which one of those.
If I drag the other one on here, it's also 4. Yeah.
Right. The index seemed kind of.
You could have.
Yeah. But if you draw a second push bullet, change them together, you would have a push bullet 4 and a 5, and so that's how you differentiate the variables, even if you've got multiple copies of the same activity.
Right. Correct. So let's stick that on there, and
no, it didn't. Oh, there it goes.
And
the connections are slow. Wait! It didn't wire up. Now it is.
Yeah, I had that problem the other day. I don't know why. I didn't click on it that time. Let's go stick the first one. My neighbor. All right, so let's stick the first one on there just so you can see. Remember, I had one that was just the error code, and one was the
label and an error code.
Yeah, label with it. Log without label. Okay. There you go. We should be ready to go. Let me.
That one didn't get wired up.
I didn't drop it on there right. That's all right. It's sometimes kind of tricky. So, all right. So let's go hit the big play button.
Run it.
Title. Awesome. Title. Awesome. Body. Sorry.
I'm saving the comments right there.
All right. We'll just let it go.
Family-friendly show.
Yeah. So when we hit start, we should see the message pop up, just like my neighbor's been texting me. Let's start.
And it ran the whole workflow.
It did.
I want to see your push bullet message.
Did I miss something? Let's go look at my contacts real quick. It worked before.
I didn't see anything fly out on your notifications. Check the log.
Oh, invalid rest.
Warning. Oh, you wrecked the payload.
Oh, well, let's go take a look. Maybe let's go take a
Live
look.
debugging. Gotta love it.
That's right. Oh, it should just be note. My bad. See? You gotta press enter.
You sure about it? Did
Okay.
it? We
Now
didn't need to provide anything to the content input, did we? Didn't you set content was an object input?
No, not content. Content encapsulates these items.
Oh, all of those are okay.
Right.
Okay, gotcha. It's the object that contains those properties.
Yeah.
Yep, gotcha.
All right. So start.
Nice. Run. Runs the whole thing. We need to see something on the screen. Go check the log. All contacts. Most recently run, created, updated. Did it again.
It did it again, didn't it?
400 payload. 400 payload.
Come on.
Oh, Kreg, we're going to watch you debug for the next 20 minutes.
just a couple more minutes. Now my system's really slow.
5 more minutes, Mom. Well, this is good, because in case somebody runs into this same error, they'll know where to go.
It's all empty.
Yes. The values are all empty. Didn't you drag the values at the...
That's a little...
the body was...
It could be the...
Info. Dot inputs. Okay. I want to see you when you save that and open it again that it works.
Yeah, that's kind of a weird thing. And it could be the version that I'm using. It could be the version I may have a buggy version of ServiceNow, like a nightly or something.
But there's no buggy version of ServiceNow.
Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. Did I say that? No.
Okay, so your activity now says... Drum roll, please. Oh, kidding.
You never show what I want. Okay, that's right.
Access token, URI pushes. Waiting. Craig's machine needs an upgrade.
It's still loading. My gosh.
The fan is running too, I'll bet.
Not yet. Oh, snap.
Oh!
Okay.
Good thing we're not doing this live at Knowledge.
I know. Okay, so let's look at the workflow one more time. I swear, this will work.
Crashed your browser.
Boy, I swear. Okay.
Okay. That one's got stuff in it. Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, we're good.
This is where you say I baked one in the oven before I did that work.
Actually, I did. But I decided, you know what? I'm going to build it from scratch.
Be brave.
There we go. Look at there.
That's an error message, Craig.
Yeah, now I got an error message.
Oh, but we saw the push bullet come up on the screen. If you didn't notice that in the upper right hand, well, rewind about 5 seconds. You'll see it up by where it says live in the upper right corner.
Okay. I'm doing something I'm not supposed to do.
So what was the red error message? Or we're not going to look. We're going to stick our fingers in our ears and go, la, 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 didn't hear that.
Yeah, I have a feeling that it's probably my code doing the thing. Anyway, so let's look at the context again, and you should see
the log messages.
The log messages.
By the way, while you're waiting, there's great workflow sessions like 100, 200, 300 series more from beginner to advanced at Knowledge. Log message. I don't see the log outputs.
Yeah, so
Did it show the history? Did it transition in and out of those activities? Workflow activity history.
it did.
No. The tab, workflow activity history. Okay, so it looked like it went in and out. Second tab on the related list. Never mind.
Anyway, you get the idea.
If we were sitting together, I'd steal the mouse from you.
Oh, this is my previous one right here. So push bullet.
Okay, yep. So it worked. What are you doing?
Title.
Is this your original or is this your new one?
Let's see.
Right.
Title body. Okay. All right. That was my previous one I was familiar with.
Upper right corner.
So there you go. There's my message. All right.
Yep.
It worked. This is the one that we just built. My fault because of the crash. I opened the wrong one. And when we go to all contexts, you can
now we
see.
should see our log messages. That's why they weren't in the other one.
Yeah, the other one. Yeah, when you said I showed the workflow, or when I showed the workflow, I see that was the previous one I was playing around with.
Yep.
So yes,
it only had one log activity.
Yep. Save face. Okay, finally. Anyway, so you get the idea. It's not very difficult to build a REST message, and then you can just fill in the blanks, and you're good to go.
Now you talked about versioning, and I think you showed that because in the custom tab you had different versions of your definition. That way, if you've got people that are building out workflows with version 1 of your push bullet activity, they're not impacted when you come back and make later changes. Much like when you change a workflow definition anyway, you're changing the definition, but you're not affecting the active contexts that are running that version of the definition. See what I'm saying? One's a template, and one's a blueprint, and one's the actual house.
Yeah, because
you can make different blueprints of your activity definition, and it doesn't impact people who have them on their workflow that have already instantiated and built that house.
Yeah, because invariably, if you do a script include, you could easily break it by making something required that wasn't required before, or whatever. So, yep, there you go. So there's my demo. It worked.
Fantastic.
Congratulations.
I should have named it something so I go, oh. Well, let's go back to the slideshow.
Hooray.
Hooray. Success. So best practices. Okay, the activity designer keeps versions for you automatically, which is probably a good best practice, wouldn't you say, Chuck?
That's exactly it. You don't want to affect, like our REST APIs, you don't want to affect people who are using the old stuff.
Mm-hmm. And it's easy to drag and drop variables, which we saw, so it kind of eliminates a lot of the typing. So sometimes you don't go.
Put Dave's name next to that one.
Yeah, yeah. Don't forget about that data.get. That was a big one right there. And of course, it's reusable. So that's one of the holy grails of coding is being able to write code in such a way where you can reuse it, whether it's you're writing classes or script includes or whatever. That's what this is kind of encapsulating.
You can now make reusable activities. Awesome.
Yes. Yep. So there's some product documentation, and we'll try and include this link in the description on the YouTube video.
Yep.
And so you can go view all the good stuff we have about the Activity Designer and read about it for yourself. And you can, of course, I'm hoping your experience is a little bit smoother than mine.
And actually, just let me throw out a plug here. If you go to the developer portal at developer.servicenow.com, there is a course on there that just went live for orchestration. It went live, I think, Monday. So that was actually the course when I was talking about my problems with that. I was actually helping write in some examples for that when I needed that data get syntax and was running high and low for it. So that is what the newest course that we have on there, and it also walks you through creating custom activities and teaches you a lot of this.
All right. Well, there you go. So go check out the developer portal. We should put a link in that to that as well. So the takeaway.
I just got word. Do the takeaway, and then we'll take away.
All right. So the takeaway is, if there's some functionality that's not in ServiceNow, already baked in, make it yourself. the Activity Designer does make it easy to build reusable activities that you can just drag and drop into workflows and share with others. So there you go.
Nicely done, my friend. I see that we have no questions so far in the community. So thank you for watching this. If you want to get in touch with us, don't forget you can follow us on the community. There's lots of places where you can find Kreg and Dave and me. You can email us. I believe the email address still works. Twitter, Facebook. The Now Support link is where you want to go. And all of these videos are also available with the previous ones on the Now Support channel on ServiceNow. We have a playlist called TechNow, all nicely grouped together for you, spanning back through the eons and revisions of ServiceNow software, like looking at the Grand Canyon with the layers of dinosaur fossils.
Okay.
Any parting words before we go?
And speaking of dinosaur fossils, it's the three of us.
That's right. Where's my walker?
Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And where's my music? There we go. Until next time, go out there and build something cool and share it with us. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.